Hi, excursionists. Just a quick content warning. This episode deals with suicidal ideation. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Into the Night. I'm Nari, your guide on today's excursion down a twisted path. Be careful not to get lost. Be it dark or light, it's easy to lose your way. Are you ready? Then let's begin. A lonely night. The subtle breeze blew the fragrance of honeysuckle across the open field. In the distance, the soft hooting of an owl floated on the wind. Farther away, a pair of whippoorwills called, one mate to the other. The warmth of summer faded in the velvet blackness of the night, and nothing compared to this time and place. The still of the world soothed even the most tortured soul, and the perfect combination of darkness and earthly fragrance made it easy to believe that all was right with the world. After this long, with so many memories, Sid smiled to himself. Who would have believed, given his boisterous youth, he would be content in a field during the peaceful midnight hour? He knew, however, that this was where he needed to be. A quiet field in the middle of nowhere provided the solitude he needed to connect with what mattered most. Mary would have understood. She always understood, even when he didn't know what motivated his own impetuous behavior. The honeysuckle wafting in the air reminded him so much of her. The sweetness, the persistence. Like his Mary, honeysuckle took root in difficult conditions and thrived, sharing beauty in a harsh world. She was the strength of their relationship. His once fierce physique hid a fragile ego that she had more than once put back together. Her adventurous and pure heart took them far in life. It was her idea to come here in the first place. Red crept up his flushed cheeks as he remembered his indecisiveness. Cowardice, really, when she first suggested that they pull up stakes, leave their families behind, and move off on their own. Pioneers. That's how Mary described them. How many others throughout history had loaded the most essential items, taking only a few keepsakes, and mustered the courage to set off on quests? Some sought adventure. Some sought independence. Some sought wealth. Some merely fled that which they could no longer face in hopes of a better life. Mary wanted the first two. Sid sought the latter. Time has a funny way of changing our perceptions. Looking back, those problems he thought he had to run from weren't that bad after all. Sid recognized that he would have followed Mary anywhere, for any reason or for no reason. He'd simply wanted to be wherever she was. He had been, too, until her light faded and he found himself here, alone. How long had it been? Sid had to add up the years to come to a final answer. It seemed like an eternity, but he knew better. Eternity would be spent with his beloved wife. All that stood in his way was waiting for the inevitable. Death. That brought him to tonight, in this place, as he stared up at the stars on this perfect summer night. He focused on a pinpoint of light. Most people in rural America wouldn't even notice it in the cluster of stars to the right of Orion. Sid knew it was there. His Mary had returned home when her light faded from his world. Eternity awaited him on his home planet. Excitement coursed through him. He'd been lonely for so long. He and Mary were the only ectoplasmic nymphs on Earth. It hadn't mattered when she was with him, but life was as lonely as the desolate field once she was gone. His release from these bonds would only happen when his death freed him. A warm surge pulsed over his body as the pinpoint of light twinkled and beckoned to him. Mary's voice whispered in his mind, her sweet, soothing chords reminded him of all that he had missed and had longed for. In one bright spark, he felt the joy of flight as he shot towards his forever home. A passing motorist blinked his eyes as he halted in the middle of the lane. He shook his head in disbelief. "I've seen shooting stars before, but never one that traveled from Earth to the sky. No one would believe me. Was it a sign from God?" He pulled out his phone. His estranged wife's number lit up the screen as he waited for her to answer. A groggy voice on the other end said, "What is it? Are you okay?" "Mary, I miss you. I want to come home. I felt so lonely tonight that I drove out in the country to that field where we used to picnic, the one where we swore we'd always love each other. Mary, I was going to kill myself, but something told me to try one more time. I'll stop all my stupid ways. Please take me back." Tears rolled down Mary's face. "I'll put some coffee on. Come home, Sid." Thank you for joining me for Into the Night, an anthology series written by Caroline Giammanco, narrated and produced by Nari Kwak, with music created by Alex Sexton. Theme music by Nico Rodriguez. Our links are in the show notes. Into the Night is available on your favorite podcast directory, so be sure to subscribe and follow so you never miss an episode. We would really appreciate a 5-star review, as it helps new excursionists to find and join us. Feel free to share with someone you want to bring along on our next excursion. I'd love to hear from you on Twitter at IntoTheNightPod or by email at itnanthology@gmail.com. I'll see you next time, and remember, whether in the shadows or in the daylight, all twisted paths lead you into the night.